Hello everybody and welcome to WOOGIES Corner. My name is Doug Jack. I've been a musician and a mechanic pretty well my whole life. My friends, my family, they've been listening to me to tell stories about my daring do adventures and on the road and in the bush for years and years, and now the time has come. It's your turn. I love to talk about history, all kinds of history. Oh, things, cars, trucks, airplanes. My dad was a bush pilot. I love things that go roar in the night, machinery of all kinds. But I also like musical history. I love to talk about where hit songs came from and where groups got their name and when they started up and anything to do with musical trivia history. Some of it is just quite fascinating. It's not what we think it is. So with that thought in mind, today we are going to talk about 1956 and the late great, the one and only Elvis Presley. You remember this guy. Well, it's the one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready to go. Cat, go, don't you step on my blue suede shoes. You can do anything but you lay off of my shoes. Yeah. Sitting around the TV at our duplex in Reno, Nevada, September the 9th of 1956. In great anticipation because Elvis was going to be on the Ed Sullivan show, and this was a big event. Everyone was worried. The media and the producers of the show were worried that, well, all those gyrations of his and the pelvic movements and all this stuff. He had done a couple shows previous, the Steve Allen show and the Milton Berle show. And the comments came in after those shows were not all that great from middle America. Boy, I'll tell you what, some of the older people, they did not appreciate this one bit. So the producers of Sullivan, they said, well, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to have to tone it down because if you don't, we can't use you. Well, anyway, Elvis agreed. I'll tone it down. And he did. So I watched that very first show, and yeah, they pretty well got him from the waist up because they didn't really trust that he would keep his word on that. But anyway, he did a good job. I think Don't Be Cruel, if I remember right, was the first song he did. He did 3 episodes of Sullivan. I think the last one was January of 57. Anyway, contrary to popular belief, he never really got censored in the first 2. He never really got censored at all. But by the time the third one came around, the producers decided to use this. They said they let it be known to the media that, we're going to have to censor this guy. We're going to have to really watch because he's got all these gyrations, and we can't have that on primetime TV. So guess what that did? That just increased the viewership, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. But anyway, Elvis behaved himself, and he did his thing, and it was all good. Reno, Nevada, that was a good time. We just had a good time in Reno. One of the things I really enjoyed as a young fellow, I had my own radio. I had a tube radio, a Zenith, no less. A white Zenith tube radio. And I used to sit in my room and I'd listen to, the stars of the day, the people that were doing stuff, like Lonnie Mack, for example. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. And I remember the Mills Brothers. They had a big hit back in 57, I guess it was. 26 miles across the sea, Santa Catalina waiting for me. Santa Catalina, the island of romance, 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 romance. And then there was the Everly Brothers' Dream, 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 dream. They're good times. Good times. We left Reno in 58, and my dad was a mining man. He had been involved in uranium mining in Reno, or east of Reno, little town called Lovelock, Nevada. And anyway, we left there in 58. The uranium mining went down, and he had found a property up in British Columbia, Canada. This was a long ways away. Away we went in the summer of 58. And we managed to get to Seattle that fall and wintered over in Seattle. And then on up the road, ended up near Prince George, BC. And then another 140 some miles, 200 miles actually, up to a place called Jemison Landing. If you want to know where Jemison Landing is, all you have to do is grab a map of BC and stick your finger in the middle of it, and well, you're pretty close. Remote, 140 miles to the nearest town, or village actually, to Fort St. James. The road would close in November, not open again until May. Very remote wilderness. It was a placer mining operation that my dad had got going there. Fascinating. We had some wonderful experiences up there and some scary experiences. I'll tell you what, this could be some topics and some future narratives, trust me. But anyway, one day, a pickup pulls up into the yard in a cloud of dust, and out hops this native fellow named Tommy George. And he reaches in the back of the pickup and he hauls out this guitar case. And so, you know, in those days, anyone drives in your yard, you invite him in for a coffee or whatever. So anyway, come on in, Tommy. So he brings his guitar in the house and proceeds to open the case up and pull out this semi-hollow body, or semi-flat top hollow body Gibson Acoustic. Wow. And then he sat around and played a whole bunch of country tunes, stuff Ernest Tubb and Hank Snow and Johnny Cash. He proceeded to play some country songs, and Ernest Tubb and early Johnny Cash, and let's see, Hank Snow, Ray Price. One of the songs he did, I really enjoyed this. Make the world go away, take it off of my shoulders, say the things you used to say, make this world go away. Anyway, I was fascinated by this. I had never seen anybody ever do this before. It's like I had taken some piano lessons in Nevada before we ever moved up to Canada, but I didn't like it. I was young and I didn't want to do scales all day long. It just didn't interest me. So when Tommy come along, started playing and singing songs for real, I was hooked. Off to town we went. Go to the local little music store. I'd buy myself a $10 acoustic guitar, a chord book, and a handful of picks. Still got the chord book. Anyway, so over a period of a few months, I kind of was looking at some of these chords, and I learned how to play E, A, and B. And I'd sit there with my little guitar, and I'd play E, A, and B. I had no idea what I was doing with that, but I knew how to play E, A, and B. Summer wound down, off to Prince George we went. And for me to go to school that winter, and I think Dad rented a house or something there. So I kind of ran into an old friend of mine that I had met previously when we spent time in Prince George. And unbeknownst to me, his name was Terry, and he had a guitar. And he had been also learning some chords. He knew how to play C, F, and G. Whoa. So anyway, there we were, and we discovered that we get together every day after school whenever we could and weekends, and we'd go down to his parents' place in his basement. And we'd sit there and Terry's going, and I'm playing. Oh man, I'll tell you, that's about what it sounded like, Terry. It was horrible. We had no idea what we were doing. Well, his mother, poor soul that she was upstairs and she was listening to this. And she was like a lot of the ladies back in the day. She could play and sing a bit. Finally, one day, she said, that's it. She comes down the stairs and, stop! Stop! I can't stand this anymore. Give me that guitar. So she grabs Terry's guitar and she tunes this thing with one of those tuning fork things. I'd never seen that either. I think it was A. So that was fine. And she tuned it all up and then she gives it back to him. And she gives my guitar, does the same thing to it. Now, listen up, you two. What you got to do is when one of you plays the C chord, the other one plays the C chord. When one of you plays the E chord, the other one plays the E chord. I'll tell you, folks, we were like a couple trees or owls in a tree. We were listening to her. We figured we were on to something here. I'll tell you what. Anyway, after that, wow, we became Dwayne Eddy, Elvis Presley, the Everly Brothers, and Buddy Holly all at once. I mean, there was just no stopping us. In actual fact, we were so bad. Oh, we were bad. We couldn't sing, we couldn't play, we didn't know what we were doing, but we had a lot of fun. It kept us off the street at night. Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, we kept at it. Probably 6 or 8 months went by or so, I don't know. And we ran into a fella named Josh New, and Josh was a drummer. Whoa. And he had this set of drums. I think they were Ludwig's, actually, come to think of it. And anyway, so he came over to our basement, and so we proceeded to jam. I'd stand on one side of his ear, Terry'd stand on the other side of his ear. We could hear him just fine, but he couldn't hear us. So he's busy, flailing away. And we're busy strumming for all we're worth. Boy, Terry's mom must have just loved this. But anyway, we did this for quite a while. But we had jobs after school. So anyway, we ended up buying 2 Silvertone piggyback amps. Now, some of the viewers, I'm sure, will remember these things. They're big news. This is Sears company. I don't know who built the amps, but anyway, they were called Sears piggyback. Something tone, if I remember right. I can't remember now, but they were about this wide, and they had a power amp thing on the top, and it went into a bass on the bottom, and 2 12-inch speakers, and they had 2 switches and 2 channels. Whoa. Guitar in one channel, microphone in the other channel. We are ready for the big time. We bought 2 of these things, and we had an assortment of some kind of useless electric guitars that we had rigged up. But we saved up some more money, and I think a little help from our parents. We ended up getting 2 Fender Mustang guitars. Cream-colored, beautiful Mustang guitars. Some of the viewers, I'm sure, remember these things. I went down to the local music store when they came in, and I'll never forget that day. There they were, sitting at the back of the store. And walked up and opened up the case, and that red kind of velour, velvety stuff that Fender would use with their guitars. And here's this cream-colored Fender Mustang sitting in there, and the smell of that new guitar coming up out of that case. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful, just wonderful. So we bought two of them. So now we had electric guitars. We didn't know how to play them, but we had them. But we kept at it, and lo and behold, probably about another 6 months went by. We actually learned how to play these songs again. And we learned some venture stuff, and we were playing around with some early Cliff Richards in the Shadows. We played around with a little bit of Buddy Holly stuff. We still weren't very good, but well, we tried. We worked at it. So we formed a band with some other guys. There were 5 of us, actually. We called ourselves the Electrons. And the key thing to take out of this is that we had matching suits. I can't remember who paid for those, but anyway, we had matching suits, and we played some dances, and that was interesting. We acquired a rudimentary PA system, and paper came along and did an article on us. The kids get a charge out of the Electrons. We'll talk about that further down the road. We had some interesting stories. Anyway, that kind of brings us up to the end of this segment. I'm sure you've enjoyed doing this, and we'll be doing more of them. I'm going to leave you with a song. This was, my dad used to sing me to sleep when I was like 2, 3 years old in Idaho State, before we moved to BC. And it's a very pretty song called Tree in the Meadow. There's a tree in the meadow with a stream passing by, and carved upon that tree I see, I will love you till I die. And further on down Lover's Lane at Sullivan I see, and though you're holding someone else, I wish that it was me. There's a tree in the meadow with a stream passing by, and carved upon that tree I see, I will love you till I die. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. It's the very first episode of Woogie's Corner. And if you like what you've heard so far, please hit that subscribe button, help us out. As time goes on, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of different things, lots of different topics. We're going to get some special guests on the show, and we're setting it up so that we can hear from you. Your stories, some of the things that have been very special, and songs is very special to you over the years. So anyway, having said all that, we've come to the end of it, and we just thank you so much for viewing, and we'll talk to you down the trail.